for it.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
In the days of political elections, this comes around every couple years, in the days of civil unrest, in the days of situations globally, from Nigeria to what's going on in Azerbaijan, which is where I'm from, the world sometimes just feels like it's coming undone. It kind of comes in cycles. And of course, every time this happens, you have someone stepping out as some type of prophet-like figure or operating in the prophetic and making very bold claims. And today it's no other than 700's own Pat Robertson. Now, Pat Robertson is, I guess, a televangelist. He's been around for a very long time, and today he made a prediction that the world was going, well, not just the world was going to come to an end. He specifically predicted that Trump was going to get reelected and that the world was coming to an end. Let me play you guys the clip, and then I'll get into my thoughts on why I think this is just not good. Check it out.
The next thing down the line, then a time of peace, then maybe the end. But nobody knows the day.
Let me pull this back from the top.
There's going to be a war. Ezekiel 38 is going to be the next thing down the line, then a time of peace, then maybe the end. But nobody knows the day or the hour when the Lord's going to come back. He said the angels don't know it, and only the Father knows it. So I'm not saying this is the second coming, but I am saying there are things that people have thought would be during a millennial time with the coming of Jesus.
So the thing that's interesting about him is he always gives himself these ways out. Like, he'll make an outlandish statement, yeah, and then maybe the end. But maybe I'm not saying the second coming. Like, he gives himself enough rope, and I'll show you why. I'm going to show you why he gives himself enough rope. But he always does this, okay? This isn't the first time he's predicted the end of the world, okay? This ain't the first time. But it keeps happening. And it personally offends me because it makes Christians look crazy. All right, let me get back to this clip. Goodness gracious.
Jesus, that are going to happen in our lifetime. And
let me pull this back.
Coming of Jesus, that are going to happen in our lifetime. The coming would be during a millennial time with the coming of Jesus, that are going to happen in our lifetime.
But it'll happen in our lifetime. Brother Pat Robertson, you're getting up there in years, okay? If it doesn't happen in your lifetime, what does that make him? What does that make you? Does that make you a false prophet, my G? Because you're very confident. He said, no one knows the hour, but it's going to happen in our lifetime. But what? Like, come on. Let's keep watching this.
And the next thing is the election that's coming up in just a few weeks.
Watch this.
At which time, according to what I believe the Lord told me, the president is going to be reelected. I'm saying by all means, get out and vote for whoever you want to vote for, but by all means, let your voice be heard. But it's going to lead to civil unrest of a great proportion, then a war against Israel, and so forth and so on. There's going to
So he's according to what he believes the Lord told him, Trump's going to get reelected. There's going to be more civil unrest. I mean, that's a pretty easy thing to predict, in my opinion. Then there's going to be a war. Then there's going to be the second. I'm not saying it's the second coming, but it is the second coming, and it's going to happen in our lifetime. In our lifetime, fam? Okay. Now, this isn't the first time he's done this. Let me just take you back to 2015. Not the first time. 2015. It's him in 2015, ladies and gentlemen.
Mike says, I keep hearing about a bunch of stuff that's supposed to happen on September 23rd. How much of this should I believe, and where do you think we are in regards to prophecy? You got 30 seconds.
I think, the clock is down to 11:59. I think that things are getting ready to wrap up. We've got Jonathan Cahn, who talks about
11:59. 5 years ago. This is 5 years ago. He said 11:59. Clock is round up. And then he goes on and he mentions everybody's, my not favorite prophet, Jonathan Cahn, as if this man is some type of, as if he has a great batting average. He doesn't. Let's keep watching.
He's coming in another few days, and maybe he can clarify some of the things. He can
Hold on.
clarify.
Hold on.
He's coming in another few days, and maybe he can.
Oh, good.
He's
clarify
coming in another few days?
And I think that things are getting ready to wrap up. We've got Jonathan Kahn, who talks about Shemitah. He's coming in another few days, and maybe he can
Oh, good.
clarify some
Jonathan
of the things
Kahn
he's
is
been
coming in a
writing.
few days.
But I do think the earth is hurtling toward some final conclusion. We all feel that.
I love the
So there's that. And then this is 1980. Apparently there's been most of these. Okay? Apparently there's been most of these. More of these.
Revelation in the earth. And that's why all the world, the United Nations and the nations of the earth, one day are going to come and move against Israel. Now, the next
So all the world's going to move against Israel.
next thing that this thing is so important, Ben, I believe it's very, very significant, is in I'd give it 1982, but date setting is dangerous. I'd say within the next couple of years, we're going to see a war there. The next major war to be fought in the world is going to be right here.
Wrong! No war in Israel in 1982. Nothing happened. There's actually Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982. So, what? Okay, listen. Okay, guys. Why is this significant? Why is this significant? Because every time something bad happens in the world, and by the way, the world is a rather dark and scary place. Okay, I know we are in America, sipping our lattes, hanging out on our smart devices with Wi-Fi and fast internet and air conditioning, and we don't understand. But the world is a rather dangerous place. There's a lot of chaos going on in the world. But every time somebody's brought to our attention and we can't deny it and we can't plug back into our little matrix, we always refute to the world's coming to an end. The world, Jesus is going to come back any minute. And this has been consistently going on. For as long as I can remember, people have been saying this. I got saved in the late 90s, early 2000s. I kind of started coming around church. Right after that, 9/11 happened. Everybody thought Jesus was coming back at any given time. We saw towers come down. Thousands of Americans died. Then we went into 2 wars, Afghanistan and Iraq. It was a scary time. Guess what? 20 years later, 19 years later, world still hasn't came to an end. Now, what am I saying? By the way, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. I believe Jesus is going to literally come back someday. What I'm not saying is that you set a date, you set a window of time, I feel like it's going to happen in our lifetime. You saying stuff like that and being wrong consistently, like Pat Robertson, like Jonathan Kahn, you're diving into some very murky waters. It's basically the God told me card. Well, God told me Trump card. You can't say anything because God told me. These people I cannot be around in real life. If we're having a conversation, we're having hey man, according to scriptures, the temple has to be rebuilt. And according to scriptures, Jesus says the gospel will be preached to the ends of the earth, every nation, every tongue. Okay, that's what the scriptures say. And you hit me with, well, God told me. The Spirit told me. God told me that it's going to happen in our lifetime. According to what? According to to what your feelings are, according to the pizza you ate yesterday, according to some obscure passage you pulled out of Ezekiel and some other obscure passage you pulled out, and the trumpet, the trumpet in Revelation is connected to the Trump who is president. Donald Trump's president is a trumpet in Revelation, so now it's all connected. Guys, I don't know when Jesus is coming back. It could be tomorrow. It could be in our lifetime. It could be in another 500 years, 1,000 years. We don't know. No man knows the hour except the Father. Stop listening to these clowns who keep making these predictions. Why? Because this stuff makes Christianity look awful. It looks bad. It looks bad. This is a bad witness. Okay, and you pandering and diving into some of this nonsense and some of these conspiracy theories and some of this stuff and trying to piece all these things together, it's not helpful. It literally can ruin your witness because you're buying into an echo chamber of this stuff. So this stuff is ridiculous to me. And again, I'm not saying when this is going to happen or not going to happen. I'm just saying this is problematic. This is problematic. Giving years giving time frames, saying this is going to happen. And again, multiple predictions by Pat Robertson. Multiple predictions. If you just Google Pat Robertson predicts the end of the world, tons of predictions. This has been at least a couple times. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. If someone says that something's going to happen and they're saying it in the name of God and it doesn't happen, that would make them a false prophet, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that make them a false prophet? Why have we not declared this dude, Pat Robertson, a false prophet? Why does anybody go on his show anymore? Why does anybody engage with this dude anymore? If somebody says this is going to happen and it doesn't happen, we discard them as a false prophet. When the Jehovah's Witnesses repeatedly predicted and set dates that Jesus was going to come back and he didn't, that confirmed that they were false prophets, okay? But for whatever reason, the religious right, evangelicalism, churchianity keeps tolerating this nonsense, and this man maintains a platform on the 700 clubs. And this is why I am empathetic to those who are far from God and unchurched people that just say, you know what? I can't with you Christians. I can't with you Christians because you've mixed it all up. You've mixed up your weirdo stuff with your politics and your end of days predictions. Y'all are just weird. This is goofy, guys. So those are my thoughts. But let me ask y'all a question. Do you guys agree with me? If somebody predicts that the world's coming to an end and it doesn't come to pass, do we discard that person as a false prophet? Because Pat Robertson don't got a good batting average. Neither does Jonathan Cahn. Okay, with the new moon, the blood moon festivals and all the shenanigans. There's been quite a few folks that have made these predictions and they have not came to pass. Do we collectively, those of us who believe this, do we then reject them and say these brothers are false prophets? We can't get down with them. Do we do that? I'm curious. And if there's somebody in your own life that predicted something was going to happen, maybe not as cataclysmic as the end of the world, but something they told you this was going to happen in your life, this was going to, and it didn't come to pass, and it didn't come to pass. Do you give them a way out? Do you let them kind of say, well, he said that Russia was going to invade Israel in 1982. That didn't happen, but Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982. So I guess it could, right? Do you kind of give them when they were wrong? Do you let that stuff slide in your own life? Because that's just as toxic and just as bad. If somebody's speaking over you, prophesying over you, and that stuff's not coming to pass, do you view that person as a false prophet? I want to hear from you guys.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan